We are just about there, just about in time for spring football in Tallahassee. Florida State Seminoles Live comes your way, of course, every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. And lo and behold, it's 7 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday night. That means we welcome in Jason Parker, and we've got Logan Robinson from Knoll at Game Day. Hey, boys, how we doing this week?
I think we're doing real well. I think now I just want to confirm all three of us, none of us have coronavirus, correct?
I don't think I have it. I don't think
considering only about 500 people in the country have been even tested for it, I don't think we have any idea how many people have it. So I'm going to be a holdout for this at this point.
Well, three of them are in the state of Florida. Of course, they're all south of Daytona Beach, so that's pretty much makes Logan safe. So he's fine there. It hasn't quite hit us in South Florida yet, but let's be honest, it will.
Well, I will be honest. My professor came in front of our 180 student class, and she came in and said, I got to use a microphone today because I can't really talk that well. I've had the flu for the last 3 days and I've been in bed. And I instantly wondered, why is she there? I don't think that's legal or anything like that. I think that's against the code there at FSU. And then she started coughing, and she told us that she was feeling nauseous. She didn't know how much longer she could do it. And then about 5 minutes later, she said, all right, I'm quitting, or I'm ending the lecture. Y'all can go home.
That's one important lecture.
It was a friggin' review for our exam that we have on Thursday. So that 30 minutes was cut off. So we're just kind of in shock. But I sat all the way in the back of the class, so I was happy. But she was coughing all over people.
I told one of my coworkers today would not stop coughing to get the hell out because I don't have time for that. I'm not about that coronavirus life. It can stay in the Tampa, Manatee County area, which is about 3 hours where I am, 3 hours south of where you are. It just can stay right there. But it will say, and before we get into talking about FSU football, there is the one debate, and there is the growing concern because obviously the NCAA has this big thing coming up in about 2 weeks called the NCAA basketball tournament. Florida State is going to be a high seed. They're probably going to be playing in Tampa, just minutes away from where these so far 2 cases live. There's talk about them not allowing fans into this venue, into the Amalie Arena. I don't think that will happen. I think they are going to have fans there. I can't see an NCAA tournament game without it. But for those of us who are covering it, it could be an eerie sight covering the NCAA tournament with no fans. So let's watch out for that over the next 2 weeks.
That happened in Baltimore about 5 years ago for a baseball game.
And they're talking about doing all events. So there's the 8 venues so far. I mean, there's the, talk about the, you're going to play East Regional Finals in Madison Square Garden. There's a distinct possibility there could be no fans in there. I mean, it could be a very eerie sight for those of us who work for NBC, the rumors about the Olympics. I mean, deep down inside, unless you have a serious, I'm going to get Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz here for a minute, unless you have a compromised immune system, you're not really at risk of suffering severe health issues with it. It's nothing, it's more or less like just a severe flu. But with that being said, it's growing concerns, and I think people need to really be watching out for it there.
I have never had the flu in my life.
And that means,
which I'm just saying that's a good thing for me. This does not speak to my health status right now. This speaks more just to my strange eating habits. I just finished a bowl of ice cream, and now I'm freezing. So we're going for some green tea just to keep me warm or warm me up here.
So let's recap. Both Logan and I had salads for dinner, and you had ice cream.
Yeah, had probably a good quarter gallon of peanut butter and chocolate ice cream.
So how old are you?
Peanut butter cup ice cream.
What are you, 6, 7? How old are you? Ice cream for dinner.
The eating habits sometimes would put me in that category. At times.
Your eating habits are as bad as Stanford Samuel did at the combine.
Oh man.
Let's talk about the combine.
That's rough.
Too soon?
Yeah, that was rough. I'll tell you what though. I will say I predicted on our podcast that Cam Akers would run a 4.45. He ran a 4.47. I mean, I'm not a wizard or anything, but a lot of people were thinking that he was going to run slower than that. But did they not see the last few seasons where actually if he gets a hole, how fast he is? It kind of impresses you a little bit. But he had a great day. Also, what I think, too, that needs to be talked about is his strength that he used. 225, you're repping it 20 times. First of all, that's impressive. But AJ Dillon has got about 30 pounds on him of muscle, pretty much. AJ Dillon is a tank. He's been in the college football world for about 15 years, too. It's good to see him finally get to the NFL Combine and get out of Boston College. But Dillon had 23 reps. Cam Akers had 20. You can give me that all day long. He did good on the bench press. And then what I think a lot of analysts, and also you saw it on TV, his field work over the bags, also on field with taking passes, caught a ball that I don't even know how he caught it, but showed his hands very well. Obviously, the 40 was very nice. I think he most certainly moved his stock up, because I think not a lot of scouts probably knew all about Cam Akers during college football season, but once they get there and they're able to talk to the teams and interact, I know that he talked with the Steelers and a couple other teams. Once he's able to interact and then also show how he is on the field like that, that will make those scouts and owners go look back at tape and see how well he did with a terrible and crappy offensive line that he has to deal with throughout his career at FSU.
Can we just point out that Logan had to drop a Steelers reference? Obviously, as a Steelers fan, he had a Steelers reference.
Hey, I've got an offensive line for him. Gimme.
I got a 14-win season with the Ravens. I mean, we're not going to talk about the playoffs, but we're going to talk about a 14-win season there. I will say this, and we've talked about it a little bit here. I hate the combine. I hate it. It's not a true representation of what any of these guys will see on the field. That being said, Cam Akers just got paid with what he did in Indianapolis. And it was a good thing for him to see, because we know, as somebody who, we've watched Cam Akers for 3 seasons. We watched him have a disappointing 2018, having a great rebound season in 2019 that catapulted him to decide to go into the NFL draft. For the average person out there, saw him playing for a 7-6, 5-7, 6-7 Florida State team in his 3 seasons in Tallahassee. So for him to be able to go into that stage, there were only 4 running backs who ran faster 40 times than him in that alone. 20 reps at 225. I couldn't do 20 reps at 225, even in my biggest heyday of athleticism in college and high school. So for him to be able to go out there and put those numbers in front of these 32 teams that were there, I think he just got paid. That's the good news. The disappointing news is, I'm sorry, and it hurts me to say this, because I was a big fan of his dad when his dad played for Florida State and knocked the hell out of Roscoe Parrish in the 2003 Florida State-Miami game. Stanford Samuels III disappointed. And Stanford Samuels III pretty much lived up to the underwhelming performance he had in his time in Tallahassee. And I was disappointed for him, because I remember watching him in high school, had a lot of high hopes for him. I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt when he didn't play up to the high expectations that fans, recruiting services had for him in Tallahassee when he came and signed with Florida State. But to run, I believe it was the slowest. I just want to confirm my numbers here with him real quick, that he ran a 4.65, and it was one of the worst. There were only 3 defensive backs who finished worse than him on the 40 time. For somebody who did not live up to expectations already going into Indianapolis, to have such a poor showing in what is one of his final times, he'll do pro day in Tallahassee. He may do a couple other events, but this is probably one of his last times to shine in front of that many people. For him to disappoint like that is truly one of the most disappointing things that happened in Indianapolis.
Kevin Clark with the first comment of the night. Who else is only here for the laughs? You boys better deliver. You hear that?
Well,
we looked at our numbers. Right. We looked at our numbers and saw that our numbers are better when I make fun of the University of Miami. So at some point today, I'm going to make fun of the University of Miami.
Yes, we have very advanced analytics on our shows, and certainly when Jason is ripping on the University of Miami, we just see spikes.
I mean,
spikes in the ratings.
Tell you what, you give me a code, a little nose wiggle or something like that, because they're all on cocaine down at the University of Miami. So you do a little nose wiggle right there, and we'll go from there. That's what I'll make fun of Miami. Too soon?
Cocaine in it?
Too soon?
Cocaine?
Okay, cocaine. Tony Montana?
Yeah, Stanford Samuels, that was pretty. Well, I want to go back to where was his plan all along, literally until he met Mike Norvell and sat down. Was his plan all along to leave early? That obviously was not a great idea in my opinion, but I think Mike Norvell kind of told him the heads up that he might not be playing as much under him, and that what might have led him to move on and go ahead and enter the NFL draft, and obviously get a chance at the NFL Combine. But the way I think he was only 3 other DBs ran a slower 40 time, and that instantly. And Deion Sanders was pretty embarrassed by it, if you couldn't tell from the broadcast. He said, "Yeah, you're gonna be moving over from corner, and you're gonna go over to safety with that kind of speed, because that's just not going to work." And I don't know. It just I think Mike Norvell told Samuels.
Sounds like his 40
Bye-bye.
time was only maybe a tick or two above Rich Eisen's.
Sounds like
is this going through? Let me get my.
His 40 time looks like the bandwidth that Logan's using in Tallahassee right now.
Yes, that could be an issue.
I'll take this one for 1 second. I think that the thing with Stanford Samuels, and we've talked about this before, about the expectation problem in Tallahassee, that and this happened after the 14 season dynasty era, that you had a lot of guys who came in, and James Coleman has talked about this before on the show, about how there are certain players who come in and just expect, oh, I'm coming into Tallahassee, and we're automatically going to win 10 games. We're automatically going to win the ACC, and blah, blah, blah. I think Stanford Samuels came in as a product of his father, was a great defensive back for Florida State back in the day when I was in school, before Logan was in preschool, years ago in the early 2000s. And he kind of came in with those expectations of, I'm a legacy to Florida State, greatness is going to follow. And Stanford Samuel had some great moments. I don't want to sound like I'm bashing him. I loved him when he was down here in Flanagan. High school is literally 5 minutes from my house right now. Covered him a lot in high school. Was very proud when he decided to go to Florida State. He had some great moments. The problem is that he also came in with the expectations of who my father is, what my father did. I'm a legacy at Florida State. I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to be the next great in the lineage of defensive backs to play in Tallahassee. It's not going to work like that. You're going to have to work. And I think Logan hit the nail on the head. I think he saw that he wasn't going to automatically get a pass the way he did from Willie Taggart, the way he did from Jimbo Fisher. Remember, let's not forget, before the people jump on and want to blame Willie, let's not forget he was a Jimbo Fisher signee in 2017. Right, Logan? I'm sorry. Sorry, I didn't hear you. You had salad in your mouth. I apologize.
Yep.
He was a Jimbo Fisher signee there. So I think there was that time where it might have been better for him to get out. I think he will get drafted because he does have the physical capabilities. If he can improve come pro day, if he comes down here, does any camps down here in South Florida and returns home, I think he has the potential to get drafted, but there needs to be so much improvement between now and the end of April. He's got about a month and a half to actually improve it. But if he's, for lack of a better term, stubborn with it, then he will not be drafted.
Logan, it's time to sell some merchandise. Look at the screen there.
That's actually
Redbeard 40.
That's actually pretty funny because I went. It's been asked about for like over a year now, 2 years really, and I actually went to a printing place today and met with them and talked about stuff that we can maybe further and plan on getting merchandise out there. It's just it's not tricky, but it's a lot of other additional work. But yeah, we definitely are getting some merch out there. Hopefully by this summer.
Redbeard, he's basically saying there's no way in hell you're going to get one of his shirts.
I'm going to send him one personally with a note.
So, I mean, I haven't even gotten one, and I've salvaged this show for 41 times now, 41 straight weeks. I've got 11 weeks till my 1 year anniversary with MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. I don't even have a no game day shirt. I mean, never mind, I wrote for a competitor, but that's a different story. I haven't written for nearly 2 months now, haven't even gotten a shirt. I'm just saying, Logan, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
The last time you were bragging about your track record, Jason, was all of, I think, 1 week ago. And you were what you would be rewarded with. And I just came up with it. The first batch of MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football merch, you're number one on the list.
I just want a cupcake. That's really all I wanted. It was just one red velvet cupcake.
I want a Mark Rogers TV show. Or sure.
We'll work on that.
I'd rather have the cupcake.
It's on the 2020 list of things to do, but it's way down the list. Way down the list.
You could have this old coach's jacket of mine that it's a little too big for me, but all right. It's for my big boy days. I'm not gonna lie.
We're apparently guessing ages tonight.
36
has me pegged at 43.
Oh no.
I'm gonna say Logan is 19. I'm 37.
No.
And Mark, since I want to come on for week 42, I'm gonna say he's 37. He's right in my age group.
Logan's graduating this May, correct?
Well, hold on.
Older than 19.
Let's be honest. Is he graduating?
I will be graduating at some point. Did I take 6 months of school off this last year? I sure did, and that was well worth it. I wouldn't be able to probably be on this show right now if I didn't take that break.
Wait, are you graduating in May or not?
No, fall of this upcoming fall.
You're really sticking around for the Mike Norvell era, aren't you?
I want to experience wins in my career under Florida State University. Do you understand that? I've had to deal with Willie Taggart throughout at least my FSU.
And Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, well, I wasn't directly straight into FSU. You got to understand, I had to go grab the AA before getting over there. That's just how I did it.
Listen, TCC is just the West Campus. It's fine.
And it pretty much is.
The West Campus of FSU, just like Santa Fe is the West Campus of UF.
I would have rather been. I did like the Jimbo years better than Willie Taggart's, that's for sure. But that's just another discussion for Jason.
You mean the 5 and 6 year where he abandoned? Yeah, Mark, he went there. He went there. I had to serve it until him.
I'm trying to enjoy college with my life. It's always just 24/7 sports, and there's always something new to do. I'm just trying to enjoy it. There's sometimes where I'm like, am I even in college? Could I just go to class, come back, and get with you, Jason, and talk about Willie Taggart? And
what you did is you redshirt. You're taking a redshirt year, so you'll be a redshirt senior next year.
That's correct.
The way we're gonna go. That's the way we're gonna justify.
That's how I'm doing it. Yeah, that's exactly, because I just love football that much.
Right.
And I wanted to be that way. I wanted to be a student athlete. Don't look at me like that. You're the one that gave me the idea. I just spilled water.
Oh no. There's no judgment at all. No. I'm so glad. No, some of us graduated with 2 degrees in 4 years, but okay, you do your thing.
Oh, here we go. Can someone get him a badge?
In my defense, one was a sports management, so that's not really a degree. Like a glorified referee.
That is correct.
Got 45 on the line, so you know what that means. If you miss part of the show, you just wait for it to post, and you can watch the whole deal. Redbeard 40, Mark Rogers, voice in college football. We understand the sentiment there. Redbeard, been loving all the spring football position shows. So Jason and Big Game James Coleman and myself, we got together to break down the quarterbacks, running backs, and the wide receivers and the tight ends. So please check out those videos. And of course, Logan would like to remind everyone to like the video.
Do it, Logan.
I need everyone. We have almost close to 50 people on here. And how many likes are we currently at right now? We're at 19. That is pathetic. That is just embarrassing. And in order to see growth on this channel, I know it's the off season, but we've got to hit the like button. I'm getting pissed off. I was up at 7 o'clock this morning going to class and all this kind of stuff, and we're over here with just 20 likes. We got to support Mark Rogers. He's allowing us to come on here and say the silliest things. And the best we can do is grow the channel and hit the like button. It helps more Noles get in here, because right now I'm seeing I got Georgia fans in here. I've got a Swamp Life 2020. I've got Miami fan. I mean, 80% is Miami fans. We only have like 3 FSU fans in here. So please hit the like button. I need more Noles in here. Me and Jason need more Noles to start off the Mike Norvell era, which is going to be a whole 180 and a culture shock, which we'll get into.
I don't mind
practices.
You know what impresses me, Jason, before you take off on this, is that Logan delivers a different speech every week. It's unique and unto itself every week. He takes a different angle, but he hits home every time.
Here's where I'm going to correct Logan on this one. It's fine to have all these Miami and Florida fans in there. They can't read. So it's not like they understand what we're saying, what we're talking about. They can't speak proper English, a lot of them, so they don't understand us. So that's fine. I get it. So let them have their moment in the room. That's fine. They'll wait from Cam Underwood and the State of the U talking about how the U is back for the last 20 years. So
which is at 8 o'clock tonight, right after this show.
It's all about the U. We lost to FIU. It doesn't matter.
And Logan also reminded me that I took a poll this week that I wanted to highlight during our show. So we were talking about Mike Norvell and whether people anticipated him doing a good job at Florida State, and they were in favor of the hire because of what Jason, James, and myself were talking about a week ago. So I thought I'm going to run a poll and see if Florida State fans can be honest and say, hey, I really like this hire or I didn't like the hire. So I'm going to round up those numbers while you guys continue to take off on spring practice.
Yeah, and guess which way I voted on that one. Let's see if we can all play again.
Yours was a conditional vote, correct? You didn't mind the hire, it was the timing of the hire.
Well, no, since what have we had on here that I hate the hire? I hate Mike Norvell personally. I hate his wife. I hate his kid. I hate his entire family. I hate his Paul Wall haircut from 2001. What are all the different things we've in here? I'm just trying to say that the different things that the viewers have said about it here. No, I voted no because I don't. I'm just being honest right now. On March 3rd, 2020, I'm not a big fan of the hire, mostly because of everything surrounding it. It's nothing personal against Mike Norvell. I'm just not sold on the way things happen. Now, go 3-1 entering the Clemson game or better, I can completely change. Be 1-3 going in the Clemson game, and it's going to be the same show. But what I want to see here is if things go south. Here's my message to FSU fans, all the FSU diehard fans who are here listening on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, those who read Noel Game Day, those who read Chop Chat, and whatnot. The same venom you had for Willie Taggart, make sure you have that same venom for Mike Norvell if things go south. That's my thing. I don't appreciate hypocrisy. If you're going to sit here and say you're a diehard Noel, hate Mike Norvell the same way you hated Willie Taggart. Don't sit there and use the excuse for Mike Norvell, oh, it's a process, when you didn't use that same excuse for Willie Taggart. That's been my biggest problem all along. People who don't want to sit there and admit Jimbo Fisher was a dumpster fire, Willie Taggart's era was a dumpster fire. If you're going to sit there and hate one, you have to hate them all. Thank you.
Both Twitter and YouTube is making me do math, so they're just giving me percentage total votes. So I'll do a little math here. We'll get to you in just a second.
It's all right.
Spring practice starts when? This Saturday, Jason?
Saturday, first spring practice of the year, leading up to the spring game on April 18th. I'll be there. Logan, will you be there?
I don't think I have anywhere else to go.
Well, it's in
I don't think I do. Yeah, I don't think I have anywhere else to go. Will I? I will know what's going on during it. I promise I will know what's going on. I'm the one where if it's football, I stay sober for that, most certainly. Do I get antagonized and do I get told to do things beforehand? Yeah, but I'm still able to hit that switch mode and be like, oh, I need to probably take notes for when we get on Mark Rogers TV show, do the podcast, or just have any kind of common sense about what's happening would probably be a good idea inside that stadium. But I'm excited for I think heading into this, just jumping in, I think there's going to be a culture shock for a lot of these players. They're going to learn real quick. They're going to learn insanely quick that this is not the Jimbo Fisher that didn't give a damn during his last year, where all these older players are still on the team right now currently. And obviously the Willie Taggart era and whatever kind of practices they were going through, YMCA, whatever kind of middle school practices and drills they were running, because I mean, we're hearing it from players. I mean, obviously Keith Gavin wasn't your career favorite through there. He didn't really shine to show his specialty, but I mean, and we had Nooney Murray on too. I mean, he had more production than Keith Gavin, but they said it's a complete 180 from what Jimbo Fisher had and what Willie Taggart had. And I think the best thing that's going to happen is that these practices are going to be a lot more organized. And right when Norvell came in, I've talked to players and they said everything's so much more keen on getting things done, and it's so much more organized than what it was before. And I think that doesn't even start with Norvell and the staff, but what he also put around him as an administration, and also bringing in a lot of these guys over, bringing the director over from LA, and I don't know his name, but I know you guys know who I'm talking about. But the organization that's going to go through these practices and the way how fluid it's going to be is going to be different. And then also, it's going to be straight up hell for them. Strict how different the discipline is going to be, in my opinion. But these practices are going to suck, as they should be. Practices should suck. I mean, 2013 guys, they said those practices were awful, and they were scared for their lives going out there. But it was a war zone, and they ended up being the most successful team, one of the most successful teams in college football history.
First of all, the most successful team in college football history. Let's cover that one.
I will say that more than LSU's.
Let's get that out of the way.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. There's no LSU fan in here now, are there?
No, I don't think so.
Sounds like I've got to produce a video, do some research. I'm not going to debate that one either way. I'm not going to debate that one either way. I don't know.
I will say
good.
Keith Gavin for a moment. Keith Gavin was such a failure at Florida State that he couldn't even make an XFL team. He couldn't even join Jock Patrick and Tavares McFadden down for the Tampa Bay Vipers. That's how pathetic he was right there. So let's
hold up.
It's pathetic. Keith Gavin had
hold up. You're making me laugh.
Keith Gavin had
he
had one kick return against Michigan in the Orange Bowl. That's it. And
the draft hasn't even came yet. He's probably thinking he could go in the NFL draft.
He couldn't even make the old lingerie football league team or the old Miami arena team that hasn't been around for 20 years down here in South Florida. So Keith Gavin, I'm sorry, can shut the hell up about any bashing of anyone at this point. I will give Mike Norvell credit, and I think Logan did hit the nail right on the head. There is going to be a definite culture change, a culture shock. But I will give Norvell and the coaching staff credit. I think one of the biggest problems that Willie Taggart had when he came in was that he tried to go from here completely to here. He tried to do a complete 180 as far as how things ran, as far as how the playbook was, and whatnot. The problem is you can't run an RPO-style offense with pro-style players, and that was evident during the 2018 season when the offense was an absolute joke. I think Mike Norvell is going to be smart, and he's going to realize, okay, my offense is not going to be the same. Both him and Kenny Dillingham, the offensive coordinator, it's not going to be the same offense as Willie Taggart ran in his 21 games in Tallahassee, but it's going to be something similar. So let's do the slow motion 2020, then change a little bit in 2021. So hopefully by 2022, a certain game in New Orleans that year against LSU in the opener, things will be perfectly the way he wants to. So I'm going to give him credit for that one. I do want to see who comes out of it. I'm going to ask you, Logan, this question. What are your top positions that you are most interested in seeing entering spring practice?
I'm most certainly the top two that come out of my head are O-line, linebacker. I'm going to go linebacker. I'm really intrigued on how, one thing too, and I see I have so many things on my mind, but with the linebackers, Chris Marv is a young coach. I think he has the right talent around him, and I think it's been lacking most certainly last couple of years is the coaching and where they're actually putting these players. I think a lot of these guys have been put in places where they don't fit the best. In the spring game or in the bowl game, that's where the linebackers had their best game, I guess you can say. And Barnett ran his old defense, and it worked out well. But obviously, I think there's some players that have moved on from the university. Dontavius Jackson, that was holding them back in a lot of ways, and that was supposed to be your leader right there, and it fell apart. So I've got my eyes on Emmett Rice. He supposedly changed his number to number 1. You don't just get that number 1, you don't just get handed it like that. There had to be a conversation made. There had to have been shown. You had to show in the weight room. You got to show your leadership. You don't just get that number for a reason. And definitely at linebacker. I mean, that's a unique number to have at linebacker. So Emmett Rice is someone looking at Deloach. And there's a few other young guys, obviously, that I'm looking at. And then also just offensive line too. But I think it's also interesting to me that practically your two pretty much elite one of the two coaches that are on staff are so young that are in the big need of change. And that's offensive line with Coach Atkins and linebacker coaching with Chris Marv. It's an interesting thing to me because obviously Mike Norvell, he did his homework before he even signed the papers at FSU. He knows that linebacker unit and offensive line unit has to be changed. And I think it's pretty interesting. It's going to be a good storyline to watch how much he believes in these younger coaches coming in. I mean, this is Coach Atkins. Does he have an SEC background? Did he just get done coaching at Georgia or LSU? No, not even close. he's coming in. And then obviously Chris Marv, younger coach. Yeah, he just did leave the SEC with Mississippi State, but still young, still proving himself. I think it's a pretty interesting storyline. You got two position groups that are in need of a revamping, and they're going to be done by some of the youngest coaches on staff.
To me, linebacker, and we talked about this all leading up into the 2019 season, all through the 2019 season. Linebacker was the weakness because of there was nobody there. I mean, it was basically, hey, what three guys can play the linebacker position? I do want to see who can step up this time. I want to see Steven Dix Jr., who is one of the early enrollees, one of the 8 early enrollees, who will be playing his linebacker, 4-star linebacker from the Orlando area. My position of question for me that I want to look at the most is at wide receiver. And I get that, yes, the biggest signing of the 2020 class was probably Tamarian Terry deciding to come back because of the fact that you can't lose both Cam Akers and Tamarian Terry. You could not lose both of them. And the fact that Mike Norvell was able to get Tamarian Terry to stick around is a blessing right there. That being said, he can't be the only wide receiver. I need to see what other wide receivers can come in there and play. There's 2 that are early enrollees that I do want to see. Obviously, Ja'Kai Douglas, who's from Louisiana, who's the smaller wide receiver. He's only 5'9", but a 4-star player. And then the one I want to see is Brian Robinson from down in Palm Beach, 6'1". He's the guy who I think has the potential to be the next Tamarian Terry. So the question is going to be, what wide receivers are going to come in? Because right now, Tamarian Terry is going to get the ball. You can double him up if you're a defensive back for West Virginia. You know what your game plan is going into that game. If you can show in the spring that you've got other targets at wide receiver that James Blackman or Jordan Travis or whoever's the quarterback can throw to, that's going to open Tamarian Terry. And if you can get one-on-one, give me Tamarian Terry all day, every day.
Which player do you, Jason, are you most looking forward to watching this spring? Is it an early enrollee? Is it someone that's coming back after an injury? Because there's quite a few of them that probably won't see the field right away. But is there any player that kind of stands out to you?
I mentioned the 3 names that I just mentioned there. Those are the 3 names as far as early enrollees. As far as the entire roster, the guy is Kalen LeBoy, the running back out of the Virginia area, because now is his time to shine. He came in around the same time as Cam Akers, and Cam Akers was Cam Akers. Cam Akers, the second he stepped foot on campus, was going to be that starting running back. It was his job, and sorry, Kalen. Kalen dealt with injuries. Now is his chance to shine. So here's the question. Can he live up to the hype? Because people seem to forget he was the Mr. Football in the state of Virginia. He was arguably as highly rated of a running back out of high school as Cam Akers. Can he live up to that potential? Can he overcome his injuries that he had to deal with? And he had devastating injury. It was the 2018 season? I believe it was 2018 season. We had devastating knee injury. So if he can overcome that, he has the potential to continue that lineage of, it goes from Devontae Freeman to Dalvin Cook to Cam Akers. Can Caleb LeBourne be that guy in 2020 to take that spot?
I think that's a great pick for offensive side. There's so many players. There's so many players too. I just had someone in the chat. I just started laughing, but someone asked what position is Quashawn Fuller going to play? He's an incoming redshirt freshman, or not incoming, but he's a redshirt freshman. He should be playing defensive end, and someone answered long snapper. That's pretty funny. But I'm going to go Travis. Do what?
Yeah, so you don't doubt the long snappers. That's all I'm saying.
Look how mean this is mean right here.
SEC dog.
This is, and I gave the Georgia fans crap.
So
this is Mark doing that. Mark's putting this up here though to piss you off, Jason.
You should be fired, but I need you because I suck. So we both suck. But SEC dog, I'm trying to see here. I thought let's just correct this.
Mark's just trying to start something.
I thought you all fired Bud Light Logan. So it's you all, not y'all. Y'all is not a word. Sorry, I hate to tell you guys. It is not an actual word. Fired Bud Light Logan. Bud Light should be capitalized based on the last FSU show. I don't think you were on last week, but okay, moving on.
Yeah, I wasn't.
It should be, I guess, JP, that's me, realized he needs Logan. He needs Logan since no need for a hyphen, listens to his BS. Got it. Thank you, SEC. Can't wait to deal with you guys in 2028 in Athens.
For my pick, I'm going to go Travis J, defensive side. Since he went offensive, I'm going to go defensive. And I'm picking him because we didn't see him last season. We had no idea where he was. There was rumors, which I think are true, with academics and things hindering him between his high school and Madison County and FSU. I think one of his teammates actually had the same problem whenever he went to a college that halted him from playing. Travis J didn't play at all. I was really excited about having Travis J and Akeem Dent on the same field at the same time. I think I said it on here multiple times that I think it was going to be your next big DB duo, kind of like Jalen Ramsey and Derwin James. I think these two have as a crazy amount of talent along with physicality that if you're thinking Florida State, you usually think physical. Just go look back at their tapes. But Travis J, not only, I think he's the next G5 for Florida State, which if anybody knows, that's Greg Reed, one of the most explosive players and entertaining guys. I loved watching Greg Reed play. If you're online, go look at watch Greg Reed light the mother blank out of Marcus Lattimore in the Chick-fil-A Bowl. That was disgusting and brutal, and that was a murder hit that shouldn't be on YouTube. It should be reported. But I think Travis J, go look at his huddle tape. He has a lot of, and also Travis J will play, can play. He can take the ball in his own hands. He could play punt return, kick return. He's got a unique amount of talent, but I do want to see him on the defensive side. I'd like to see him more played as a safety. Use him like Derwin James. Use him as a tool. Use him how Derwin James should have been used, like his freshman year. But put Travis J down where he can work. Maybe spy down that quarterback. Send him on blitzes. Use his physicality. Move Akeem Dent down the corner. Travis J, I think I want to see. He's been all over social media on FSU's highlight videos of them lifting, working out, and Coach Storms, I think, publicly said that you're not going to be on videos if you're not impressing, if you're not buying in, if you're not making gains and growth and being a leader. He's been all over the drills and strength videos, and I'm pretty sure having a physical guy like that and sitting out for a year, he's going to be pretty pissed off. He's going to be really livid. I'm ready to see how hungry he is on Saturday because I don't know what to expect, but I think he's ready to. Obviously, they won't have pads on, but I'd pay money to see him on the first day to have pads and obliterate somebody.
And before you look at Greg Reed, you might want to actually look at players who actually finished their time in Florida State and didn't get kicked off the team for a violation.
Nowadays that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen. That was your favorite. That was your favorite coach that kicked him off.
Marcus Joyner didn't get kicked off. Deion Sanders, Leroy Butler, Terrell Buckley, Mario Edwards Sr. These are actual defensive backs. But speaking on what you were saying,
Mario Edwards Jr.
Mario Edwards
defensive end.
I said senior.
Oh, okay.
Put down the beer. Listen up for a second.
I promise you, this is not Natty Ice tonight. I wish if they sold these, I guarantee I'd probably have one this weekend.
The name you mentioned that I do want to touch on real quick is Akeem Dent, because Akeem Dent came in high expectations, 4-star player in the 2019 class, and if you remember that spring game last year, he dominated, and it looked like a lot of us who were covering the game were sitting there going, okay, he could be the next person. He could be that next defensive back in the class. I didn't see much of him over the course of the season to really live up to that hype. So I want to see more out of him. And he's the one I want to see more out of because you've got that little taste. I think Travis J, you don't know what you're going to see from him yet because you mentioned, obviously, all things happened last year. So there's nothing for him to live up to. Akeem Dent did not live up to that hype. So he needs to come out at least during the spring and during the fall practice time and just come out solid. And if he can do that, he's the one I have a lot of hope for on that defensive side.
Yeah, Akeem Dent, I'll be honest. All right, I'm just like picturing it through my head. Did Akeem Dent want to move down to corner, but for some reason you got to remember, game after game, Stanford Samuels was just getting roasted out of his mind. There was times where he wasn't out there starting. He'd be pulled back on the bench. Why wasn't – I'm pretty sure – I don't know. But I think Akeem Dent should have been at corner to start off. I know he was a true freshman, so they probably wanted to use his talent and maybe put him at safety, at least get some burn, get him some time down there. But I think overall there was some bad coaching, and Akeem Dent should have moved down to corner. That's why I'm predicting. A lot of people are saying he'll move down to corner starting this spring, come from where he played in high school. And I think he will have better hips. I think he'll have better feet than Stanford Samuels, and he's younger. And then I think that was a problem. And Stanford Samuels is gone. I think it was. I mean, there was some really bad coaching, obviously, under Willie Taggart, and that, like I said before, the linebacker unit players are not put in the right positions, and they weren't under Harlan Barnett. They were disgusting until they brought in a real coach, huh?
And who was the coach before Willie Taggart? Who, I'm sorry, recruited Stanford Samuels? What was his name?
Well, he recruited him. Did he coach him?
What was his name?
Did he coach him last season? Did Jimbo coach him? I don't think he did.
What was his full name? James? Was it James?
You can recruit.
John
you
James?
You can recruit, but you got to coach them.
Is it James John or John James? It's something.
It's been that's one thing. The linebacker unit, there's just a bad disease on the offensive line. The defensive back unit and the linebacker unit, they have no idea. They've had the most piss poor coaching than I've ever seen in my I don't know how long, because it's piss poor because you're bringing in this amount of talent. And like you said, you're kind of not so impressed with Akeem Dent last year. And I think that he would have put glue on his hands. He would have had 5-6 more interceptions than we want to be talking about him like that. But there was time. I mean, I remember he's also a true freshman, and also not where I don't think he should have been at safety. He should have been at corner. But anyways, just bad coaching overall. That's what Akeem Dent had to put himself through.
The horrible coaching era of Jimbo Fisher and Charles Kelly. I mean, that was.
Imagine putting Stanford Samuels in there, who we were just trash talking in there for so long.
Jason, in 2006 and 2007, Bobby Bowden went 7-6 and 7-6. Was he a horrible coach?
I was there for many of those games.
Okay. So was he a horrible coach?
I think that was the tail end of it. Yeah, I think in 2006 and 2007, yeah, he was a horrible coach. But here's my point. Here's my point. All I'm going to say is, and I said this earlier, I don't mind people bashing Willie Taggart. I get it. I do understand it. Trust me. I grew up as a Florida State fan. My parents went there. My dad was there. He played football there. I understand it. I get it. My beef is just this. What I don't want is I don't want people who condemned Willie Taggart for going 5-7 in his first season, which he should have been condemned for because of the streaks and whatnot. But then and I know this is a big if, but if Mike Norvell goes, let's just say 5-7 this year, what I don't want is people saying Willie Taggart's the worst coach ever, but with Mike Norvell, it's, he's building. It's a process. It's a process. You got to build a process. My issue is the fact of I will admit the 21 games of Willie Taggart were a failure in Tallahassee. I will 100% admit that. What I am not going to admit is, or what I'm not going to say is that he was basically given a whole room full of gold and said, here you go. Here's the keys to the Alabama Crimson Tide team. This is your team. You're the king now. He was given a dumpster fire and didn't fix a dumpster fire. But what I'm saying is, if you need to bash Jimbo for the way he left it, that's all. If you're going to bash Willie and not give him the benefit of the doubt, you need to bash Jimbo for the way he left it.
I can't answer this question. You two will have to answer this question, and then my response will fall in line. Is the roster that Mike Norvell is inheriting better or worse than the roster that Willie Taggart inherited, or is it comparable?
I would say comparable. I think there are definitely parts on both. I think the advantage that Mike Norvell has is the two names, Marvin Wilson and Tamarian Terry. I think if both of them had gone pro, I think you would have said Willie Taggart would have had a better roster. But I think those two guys sticking around makes it somewhat comparable to the point where the expectations are 8 wins, an 8-4 season. You have a lot of people are saying, and we talked about this earlier, how ESPN, for example, ranking, doing nothing but praising the move of hiring Mike Norvell. The problem with it is we don't know. And I'm going to say it. This is Power 5 bias. He had a great career so far at Memphis. To me, I'm not going to judge what he can do at a Power 5 school with what he did at Memphis. People sit there saying, he won 13 games at Memphis. That's
Willie Taggart.
Willie Taggart also
Willie Taggart turned around 2 Group of 5 programs. That was all his work. That was his resume.
He also turned around Oregon. Oregon's in the
turned around Oregon. He took over a roster that played in the national championship game
as
2 years earlier.
That went 4-8, and
they went 7-5.
From 4-8.
Great,
right? So
great job.
They won nearly twice as
Yeah, they
much.
went 4-8 because the coach was a disaster.
Listen,
The coach did not do a good job.
So
he did what any capable coach, any Division III coach would have went 7-5 with that roster.
You would have gone 7-5 at Oregon. You would have
Wait, here we go.
You would have had a better record than me. You would have been 3-9. I would have been 2-10. Logan would have been too drunk for the first game.
No, I want to give my take on if I think this is a better team that Norvell is walking into than what Willie Taggart is. And I'm going to say, and a lot of people said in the comments, like immediately, like worse and worse. And they're coming from different teams that don't really know the stat or the team that's on there and the current players that actually just left. I think the last 2 years, Florida State has cut off about 95% of the fat that needed to be taken off. There's a lot of guys. There's a few guys that just left. One that we were talking about earlier, I think 2 of them that are no longer on the team. I think now you're going to see Florida State's defense. I mean, I hope people know, and if it's coached very well by Adam Fuller, could be very nasty. It could be extremely good. The defensive line, your big boys return. The mob returns there. Hamza Nasruddin is one of the best safeties in the country. I mean, he could go first around. Obviously, Jaden Lars would be. I kind of need to see him step up just a little bit more. I think he also is just not being put and coached in certain ways that he should be and put in certain areas. But Asante Samuel returns. I think he might prove himself in being one of those top corners too. And then if Hakeem Dent works out, but that defense is disgusting. I just need to see the linebacker unit work with Emmett Rice around and Amari Gaynor. That defense could be disgusting. The main problem for offense is, you got to figure out your quarterback situation. But the thing with the running back stable is you got a lot of experience around it. You got JUCO guys come in. You got to transfer from Texas A&M. I think your running back position is going to be fine. You always just got to worry about the offensive line. That's always been the struggle. But the main thing is, I think the culture has gotten better, and that is a huge thing for FSU moving forward. Making sure that these guys are held accountable is something that has lacked so big at Florida State. It's been just embarrassing to watch. And we've talked to Seminoles. They said it's just pathetic how you get a penalty the week before, and then your coach puts you back in again, which is absolutely ridiculous. No wonder he's gone, but he puts you back in after one series, and you think you learned your lesson. Get out of here. There's a reason why he's out of here. He's at FAU. Anyways, you gotta be able to drive discipline, and that's where I think. And seeing these players on the team right now, I think they're going to buy in to Coach Norvell. And I think all the fat, all that ridiculous, all the flags, and just having that cocky mindset whenever you're barely about to make a bowl. I think majority of those players are gone. That's going to help Florida State.
I'm going to address the comment on the screen, and then I'm going to let Jason go here just so I can move on from the comments on the screen. So Falambo would like me to have a TV show, Mr. College Football. Any concept or proposal that you want to offer, Falambo, I'm all for it. We can start some kind of reality show or do something like that. I'm gonna note this before Jason goes.
He's coming.
The 4 rosters that comprised the roster. The 4 recruiting classes that comprised the roster that Willie Taggart inherited were ranked number 3, 3, 6, and 11 in the country.
So a lot of stars, but they didn't perform on the field.
Well, they didn't perform on the field. Whose responsibility is that?
You got fired.
And there are other factors. I understand it's all about recruiting rankings. But still, you inherit a roster that's got 2 number 3 recruiting classes, a number 6 and a number 11.
And what was their record before? What was their record this season before?
Poor coach, and Jimbo had his foot out the door.
I believe Jimbo. So that's the excuse.
He won a national championship and he went 14-0 another season.
That's the excuse, is that Jimbo had the foot out the door. So that's the excuse. Don't worry about it. Jimbo doesn't get blamed for any of the problems. Once again, I'm saying if you're going to blame Willie for his share of the blame, and I 100% will agree with that, Jimbo deserves as much of his share of the blame as well. And the fact that, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, I don't mean this is going to sound like I'm pissed off at both of you. I'm not. I love you both. I love you, Mark Rogers TV, the college football. Logan, I love you too. But you're both dead wrong on this one. You're both dead wrong because you want to sit here and say Willie Taggart's the problem, Willie Taggart's the problem, Willie Taggart's the problem, Willie Taggart's the problem. Willie Taggart inherited a dumpster fire. Willie Taggart inherited a joke. Jimbo Fisher was the first coach to have a losing season at Florida State since Bobby Bowden in 1976 because he went 5-6 abandoned.
Losing season.
What was his record his last season? He was 5-6 before he abandoned ship. Odell Haggins
he did not complete the season.
Oh, cut that BS out of the way.
He was out
6. They didn't have a losing season. He can't have a losing season if the team didn't have a losing season.
5-6. So he doesn't. So he gets Odell's credit for the Louisiana Monroe game. And
no, he doesn't get any credit or blame.
He had a
the man won a national championship, and he coached another team to an ACC championship and a college football playoff berth, and he coached another team to an Orange Bowl win and a top 10 finish.
Gene Chizik won a national championship at Auburn. Would you consider him a great coach?
He did that one time. He didn't repeatedly win 10 and 11 games.
That's what I've said. The 2016 season was the biggest joke for Florida State because the fact that was not.
That was such a joke compared to 2018. You don't want to win 10 and win the Orange Bowl again. You don't want to do that.
I was advocating.
That was such a joke.
We were sitting there. We got lucky to beat Michigan. We got lucky, and the fact that you guys don't want to sit there and attack Jimbo with the same.
I think his foot was out the door whenever he ran that 5-6. I think he was already getting ready to sign contracts and talk money after the NC State game after they lost that game.
So
I think
that to me makes him more of a failure because he quit. Jimbo quit.
I've been watching Florida State play football since the late 70s. And I haven't seen anything close to that 2018 performance. That team was so out of control, undisciplined, couldn't line up correctly, was lost, was getting hammered by the likes of Syracuse and just a bunch of marginal teams. It was awful.
Well, they
were much more competitive last year.
No, there was no second half adjustments. Whatever a damn.
And they had the same number of wins that season that Jimbo had in his final season.
We've compared the 2017 team and without a quarterback that lost their quarterback the first game of the season so that they can throw out James Blackman as a true freshman against Alabama.
At 160 pounds.
Yes. Five wins.
That team, aside from playing one bad game against Boston College, was in every game. They played the defending national champions to the final 5 minutes. They didn't just get hammered 59-10 by everybody.
5 wins.
I'll say this too. Willie, obviously, I think he was trying to do the right thing. I think the players, when he talked to him when Willie arrived, that them, and Jimbo weren't that close. And obviously, Jimbo was ready to go and get paid. And so what Willie did was try to get close and connect with the players and try to become friends and all that kind of jazz. But when when about 90% of your players, a good amount of them, are coming from South Florida, and most certainly Southeast, being friendly like that, it's just not going to work. We had Carlos Williams on a few weeks ago and James Wilder on. They both talked to us in a dual pod, and they said it straight up. That the other ones that noted to me, they said that blank kind of blank does not work. You've got to be strict as all get out. You've got to be running a system. And Jimbo did that early on during his career at Florida State, and then it fell off, obviously, because he's distracted and want to go get money. But I think Willie Taggart was trying to do the right thing. But these guys have got to be held accountable on every single thing. And they do come to Florida State. They do want to come to Florida State to be coached hard. And it just wasn't the case with Taggart. Was just too friendly, and at Florida State, it just can't be that way. Yeah, it would be the same way for Ohio. It'd be the same way for Ohio State. I mean, go to Alabama. I mean, it'd be a complete culture shock. Imagine being coached by Willie Taggart and going under Nick Saban. I wouldn't know what to do.
Imagine coming to Florida State and going 5-6 in 2017. Just imagine that moment right there. And I get it. My thing is this: if you're going to use the excuses of, and this is not just talking to you guys, I'm talking to everyone in the Florida State camp who has been anti-Willie, pro-Jimbo. I understand where it comes from. Jimbo did win us a national title in 2013 as the coach of that team. I get it. I understand that. My issue is that you have to look at the whole thing. You cannot blame Willie Taggart for everything that happened in 2018 and 2019. Can you blame him for a vast majority of it? Absolutely 100%. And I interviewed him in December when he was down here for FAU's bowl game, and I asked him that question. I go, do you take the blame for it? He admitted to it. He admitted to not being able to get the job done for his part. What I have said all along, and I will continue to say it until the day I die, is the fact that Jimbo Fisher is responsible for a decent amount of the blame because of the dumpster fire that was left, because he quit. He quit for whatever reason you want to. He decided he wanted a bigger paycheck. He had better things, better facilities in Texas A&M. Whatever the reason was, he just decided to quit. And he left it, instead of trying to leave it the best he could for the next coach to come in, he left it a complete joke. That's my problem. What I don't want this time around is for, if Mike Norvell, let's say Mike Norvell goes 6-6 in the regular season, which was the same record that Florida State had in the regular season last year. I don't want people to sit here and praise Mike Norvell after giving venom to Willie Taggart for going 5-7 his first season and then having the team go 6-6 last regular season. I just want it to be the same. I want it to be uniformity. If Florida State has the same record this year that they did last year, give the same venom you gave towards Mike Norvell towards Willie Taggart that you gave towards Willie Taggart. That's all I'm asking for is uniform.
Let's also compare apples to apples. So for the same person that was saying, let's not give Jimbo Fisher credit for going 7-6 because he went 5-6. Let's not give Willie Taggart credit for a 6-6 football season. He went 4-5.
I agree.
He didn't get them to a bowl game.
He was 9-12 in his 21 games. He didn't even get 2 full seasons. Let's not forget that part right there. He didn't even get 2 full seasons. So the fact, it comes down to this thing. Florida State has had one minority head coach. Let's just call it what it is. Let's be honest about it. Florida State's had one minority coach, and he got lambasted by a good percentage of the boosters, good percentage of the media members. No, I'm not saying it all had to do with his race, but there were a decent amount of them who criticized him and did not give him the benefit of the doubt because of his race. That's just the bottom line. I don't want people to look at the new coach to come in, who happens to be Mike Norvell, who is a Caucasian, like all three of us are, and give him the benefit of the doubt when no benefit of the doubt was given to Willie Taggart.
Why would you even address this before it happens? Why would you not wait until it actually happens and then address him being given the benefit of the doubt?
Because I always finished my test first. I got good grades because I always would finish it real quick. I studied really well.
You know, one thing that I don't think I'll have to see, but what I did not miss with Willie Taggart was smiling in press conferences on Mondays after losing. What was that?
Back to the previous quote you just
There's
had.
an echo, I think.
The one before this one.
Is there an echo for you guys? Oh no. What I was real quick. What I was going to say is what I'm not going to miss is Willie Taggart's. What I'm not going to miss is Willie Taggart's press conferences on Monday after losing back-to-back games and smiling and laughing and all that kind of stuff. That's something that I won't miss. I don't think FSU fans will miss it. I don't think boosters will miss it. But yeah, he wasn't ready for Florida State. You can go to a uniform college over in Oregon, and you can wear all these pink, and you can wear flash. You can even wear light up uniforms. You can wear glow in the dark ones, and you can do that at Oregon and win maybe 8 games like that. But that's not going to work here at Florida State.
So I'm totally up against it. I did not realize what the time is. So let's go to our poll here. We should be happy that we got 564 responses to our poll. Was Mike Norvell a good hire? Were you in favor of the hire? That's the way the poll question was phrased. And 83.9% of the people were in favor of Mike Norvell as a hire.
He was a better hire than Jimbo Fisher. I'll give you that.
Yeah, he should win a championship and go undefeated another season. Sure. Let's compare the Jimbo Fisher versus Willie Taggart record at Florida State.
To answer what Logan said, just to get into a couple of what he said there, it was almost annoying to hear Willie Taggart after losses as it was to hear Jimbo Fisher bragging like Florida State was a powerhouse after needing a Hail Mary to beat Wake Forest.
Well, they were a powerhouse other than one season under him. All right, everyone. We appreciate you stopping by. Logan Robinson, Noel Game Day, and Jason Parker.
Bring football.
We appreciate everybody stopping by.
We'll have football to talk about when we get back. We'll have football practice. I'll be there. We will talk
it up next week. Next Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time, everyone. and Miami Talk coming up right now.
Ugh.